health equity. Let's see, here is our agenda for the day. And while I'm going through the agenda, feel free to share in the chat your name, pronouns, organization, and what is your favorite spooky creature, whether it's like a classic monster, a cryptid, something that's generally creepy. For example, I am Sam Young. My pronouns are she, her. I work at IPHI, and my favorite spooky creature is the Fresno Nightcrawler, if you're familiar. It basically looks like a sentient pair of pants and is kind of goofy looking, which is why it's my favorite. So for today, we're going to have a brief welcome and updates. Then we'll have our presentation from some folks from the Forest Preserves of Cook County. Then we'll discuss a little bit about the Systems in Sync event and primarily what are the next steps for that initiative as a subset of this group. Then we'll wrap up with some next steps and let you go on your way. And I'm seeing some people sharing in the chat. They like bats, ghosts, Slenderman classic, Mothman, very Chicago local one. So go ahead and keep sharing that in the chat and we'll move forward. So just a quick review, especially because I think we have some new people this time. Our community agreements that we have established to promote inclusive and equitable discussion and work together here in this group. And then some cross-cutting strategies we established for the mental health work group, including fostering collaboration, advocacy and coalition building, leveraging community partnerships, social and structural determinants of mental health, racial equity and substance use treatment and prevention, as well as some of our priority populations over there. And it's through a lens of these strategies that we try to center all of our work. And then our priority areas of children and youth, school-based services, and young adults included in that, and workforce development, including burnout prevention and support, and diversity in clinical staff through removing training and opportunity barriers. These priority areas were established in 2024 by the group as we relaunched. Okay, before we jump into the Forest Preserve, any partner updates that anyone wants to share? As far as us here at IPHI, I'll be getting into the event later, so that's our big update. But if any of our partners want to come off mute and share an update they have, now is the time.
Hello, I have an update. This is Luz Hernandez from Advocate Health. I'm a part of the Central Chicagoland Community Health team and just wanted to announce that we are at the tail end of our 2025 CHNA process. And we have just finished our report, so hope to share that with you all in the next coming months.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And the data that we gained from your reports helped a lot as well. We were able to use that to get a better idea as well about our communities.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Luz. Anyone else? Okay, and if anything comes up, feel free to also share in the chat. So now we're going to have a presentation and brief discussion with some folks from the Forest Preserves of Cook County. So let's give them a welcome while I unshare my screen.
Hi, I'm Jackie Ulrich. I'm the director for the Conservation and Experiential Programming Department for the Forest Preserves, and I'll let Elizabeth introduce herself.
Everyone, I'm Elizabeth Garner, also from the Forest Preserves and the Data and Evaluation Analyst. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having us. We were excited to be at your event last month, and then appreciate a minute to present some information about the Forest Preserve, and hopefully something that you can use and you find useful. And we'd love to talk to you about how you might do that. So I'm going to share my screen, see if I can get this right. Okay, come on, go Zoom. Okay, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
For mine, it just, oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
Now I can see it.
Okay. So, the Forest Preserves of Cook County, thank you for giving us this time and a minute to talk. We were gonna show a short video called Chicago's True Nature, a video that was put together about 10 years ago as part of our, that would give you some more information about the forest preserves. There's a couple versions, a 3-minute, a 20-minute, and an hour version. So if you, we're going to put the link in the chat in a little bit. So if you want to know more about the preserves in general, we'll share that with you. But we want to talk to you a little bit about who we are, what we do, and why we're talking to you today, or this specific group. So 100 years ago, this idea of getting out in nature came about by a bunch of smart people who really thought they wanted to protect nature for people and for nature. Dwight Perkins, Jane Addams were really involved with this, and one of the core elements of this was really thinking about what's really good for the population of people right now, and what do people need to be healthy. The Chicago was getting really crowded. It was dirty, and people really thought that we should be saving space so that people could get outside. We should also be saving space so that we have more open and green spaces. So taking care of nature was one element of this 100-year idea, and getting people outdoors and being healthy in the outdoors has always been a part of the Forest Preserve's reason for being and the mission. So this is the Forest Preserve today. A lot of land. We just got over 70,000 acres last year, which we were very excited about. This is the map of Cook County, and as you can see, those green blobs are all our holdings that we manage and take care of. And the white dots on the map are actually our 6 nature centers, and I'm going to talk about those in a little bit. We have a lot of different systems that people can take advantage of, a lot of different kinds of nature. So woodlands where it's more shaded, savannas that have open spaces, but some trees are prairies that used to be the primary landscape of Illinois. There's very few original prairies left, and we're trying to restore some of those, but they're big, wide open spaces with lots of sun and lots of plant material. And then our wetlands along our rivers and our lakes and our ponds that provide habitat and hold water for the region. We are partners with a couple of big institutions that in a public-private partnership, we share lots of resources, including land and space. But the Brookfield Zoo Chicago and the Chicago Botanic Garden are really important partners with us, and they're unique places that also partner with us on a variety of different activities and programs. We really think about the reason we exist is to give people the chance to try things out in nature and be in nature. And we hope that people try and create their own place in nature and create their own adventures. We also are a place where plants and animals thrive, and we give people we do a lot of work to make sure that those habitats are healthy for plants and animals, and restore the land so that it's the best habitat for our native plants and animals. And having a healthy forest preserve and a healthy ecosystem also means we have healthy communities, and the clean air and clean water are a big piece of what we do. Lots of trees, clean water, keeping the rivers and lakes and streams clean is a big part of our work. And by providing that, we provide for healthy communities in a variety of different ways. And then we hope to be transparent and equitable and fair about how we do our work and how we think about where we place our assets and our resources. So we hope that we are also a good governing body. So we do a lot of habitat restoration because nature can't do it totally by themselves. They need our help, and it takes a lot of people to do that. And the reason we think that that's important, so we do that with our staff, we do that with contractors, but we also do that with volunteers. And volunteers play a really key role in helping the forest preserves be the best that it can be. But it's also, you all know this, we all know this, studies show that volunteering outdoors is really good for people, really good for their physical and mental health. And there's many ways that people can volunteer and give back to the forest preserve, but it's an opportunity for them to do something on their own, to be outside, to meet new people, and just find different ways to engage in nature. And I can talk a little bit about volunteer opportunities, the different kinds of volunteer opportunities in a little bit, because you can do it on your own, you can do it with a group, you can sign up to be part of a group, you can also do it as a group on your own, work with our volunteer department to kind of create a volunteer event for just your group. And volunteering works. It is really important to take care of this ecosystem because it means that wildlife thrive, and we've seen the results of that. Bald eagles have come back, blending turtles have a better space, better, cleaner waters. The river otter has come back. So volunteers do have a big impact on the forest preserve, on creating these healthy habitats, and we've seen the results of that, and it's very exciting. But we know people need nature too, and so we really promote this idea that this is a good place for people to try new things, to get outside, to be well, to find their place in this. And we try to have different opportunities for everyone. And again, this idea that people can create their own adventure. We often provide free activities so people can try their own things, to try something and then do it maybe potentially on their own. We have a Wellness in the Woods initiative where we try to link our resources and our activities to the idea of being well in lots of different ways, being outside in different ways. We know people are well when they have a balance of activity. So we promote the idea that in the forest preserve, you can be active, you can be playful, and you can be restful, and that there's lots of research that shows that those kinds of activities outdoors in nature can be a good place to get healthy and to be well. And so we have lots of research on our Wellness in the Woods page that we're continuing to update that shows how you can get outdoors and get healthy. But we're not the experts in health and wellness. We're the experts in getting outside and loving nature. But we can be a resource, and that's what we wanted to offer you today, is that the Forest Preserve can be a resource for you, for your organization, for your clients, for your participants. And we would like to offer ourselves as that resource to you, to get outdoors, to be outside and use it in a way that you think would work. We have thousands of activities, many different ways to get outside, many ways to get outside with other people, many ways to get outside by yourself. We have opportunities for groups to do things on their own. We have opportunities for groups to come to our activities that are already planned. We have thousands of events every year. Most of them are free. Groups are welcome to attend some of our bigger events. There's sometimes we could work with groups to provide an event or an activity just for your group. So there's lots of ways that we could potentially be a resource to you. And again, this is just some of the activities that you could maybe take advantage of in all seasons. We think it's good to get outside in all seasons throughout the year. And again, we think you we hope that you would maybe think about how maybe you could meet your mission in nature, that there's different opportunities and different ways for you and different places. So, you know, through I'm going to talk about it. There's a few options to think about. You know, young people are a good way to take advantage of the forest preserve, but there's also like potentially for team building, bring your staff outdoors, maybe for or have a youth development programming, and think about, you know, just being outside in a way to meet that mission of doing youth development as opposed to just coming outdoors to take a walk. Maybe have that a goal in mind. For staff development, we can provide opportunities, maybe some indoor space or maybe a guided walk for your team. Some ways to think about being mindful in nature. Do workshops in nature, have your meetings, have retreats. We have campgrounds where if you wanted to do an overnight thing, that's a possibility. And then maybe participate meetups, if that's a place where we're doing something with a foster care group where they're going to have a table at one of our events, and they're telling their families that they would to meet them there and meet up with other participants at this event. So what are our resources? We have 6 nature centers that have staff that we have trails, we have events, we have exhibits, we have some indoor space, and sometimes that could be used for indoor events. We have staff that can talk to you about planning maybe a guided activity with a group. Or give you ideas about what you could do at the nature centers with your group. We have we have space, we have some indoor space and information that we can provide maybe at a meeting to your group. We could provide a retreat at our campgrounds. We have a transportation, we have a Nature Express bus and a Volunteer Voyager bus that allows people to get outside with their groups and come to some of our activities, some of our events, to do a volunteering activity, or to go to the Brooksfield Zoo or the Botanic Garden. Clearly, I've talked about camping, that we have cabins with indoor space. We have tent sites. We have bunkhouses that also have a, potential for like a meeting space. So there's different ways to get involved there. And then we have an Experience Nature email where you could email us with questions or ways that you might want to connect with us. So how can you connect with us? The best way is to kind of take advantage. I'm hoping this works. Look at our website. Maybe it's loading. So our website, the volunteering has their own link, and there's lots of ways to volunteer. I think one thing you might want to look into is, if you wanted to look into group volunteering, how could a group come out together to maybe volunteer and take advantage of ecological stewardship, litter cleanup, or maybe even get a bus where you could take advantage of this. There's many things to do: bicycling, birding, camping, disc golf, fishing, all kinds of things. Our events are at this page. Has a list of all of our events, whether they're free, if you need to register or not, if they're large events. This is where our Nature Express bus transportation application lives. If you click on this, you'll go to a page that explains the process. It explains what we ask for. We are looking for a group of at least 25 up to 44, and we take those applications in an ongoing way. And that will be happening again in 2025-6. And then our Wellness in the Woods, we've we've tagged some of our events as very specific wellness events. So you can see we have some things coming up: walks, mental health first aid training, moonlight sound bath. So there's different ways, again, to get outside and be healthy. And we think that these wellness ways are a lot of this wellness opportunity maybe is an option for you all. And I just, again, look, going back to my PowerPoint, this is where the Wellness in the Wood page is its own page. And it kind of explains the be active, be restful, be playful concept and how you can do those different activities and a checklist that you could download and different ways to connect to those events. I went through this pretty fast. We wanted to, Elizabeth, can I turn this part over to you?
You can. Thank you, Jackie. That was really, I always learn more and more about the forest preserves whenever Jackie talks, so I appreciate that, Jackie. One of the things that I just wanted to add, what Jackie said, is this season, one of the tags that we're highlighting is mental health specifically. And as part of that, we thought what a great time to be talking to you all, but also to get some feedback from you as well. And so if you don't mind joining us in a little mentee experience. One of the things that we thought, and Jackie, maybe did you want me to share the mentee or did you want to?
Can you?
Yes, do you mind
Oh, I
stopping
have
sharing?
to stop share. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. So one of the things that we wanted to start with was just kind of getting a sense from you all on where you think are the mental health benefits of being in nature. As Jackie shared, we've done lots and lots of research, but how can we collectively identify what are these benefits of being in nature for mental health? So if everybody can just add 1 or 2 words, feel free to enter many words and multiple times. But together we can create a little collage of thinking about how mental health is really part of how nature can be part of our mental health journey. So I love this, the connection. I'm assuming connection also both with nature, but also with each other, the grounding, the mindfulness. One of the things that we've been talking about a lot, and obviously want to get feedback from you, is just this ability to disconnect from technology as well. So thinking about connection also with each other, but taking some space and away from our everyday. So this is great. Love this, the beauty and the breath and breathing. I love this. Thank you. So if you guys want to keep adding in, these are great things that we're definitely highlighting in the way that, right, Jackie, these are things that we're all highlighting in the way that we're thinking about this, but it's so awesome to come to this group and kind of get some of that affirmation on, are we on the right direction? Because one of the things we say all the time is we are obviously not the experts in this space. We want to be a resource for the experts. And so getting this kind of check-in with you all is really helpful. Excellent. So feel free to keep adding. The Menti will be up. But one of the other spaces that we thought we could get some feedback from you all is just how often you're thinking about nature in your own work as a resource for mental health, so that we have a greater sense of are the professionals out there, are the experts out there already thinking about whether or not mental health is part of the prescription that you're doing. And we were using prescribe as a really broad term, so it's not necessarily that you're writing on a pad or telling people specifically, but are you maybe in a position where you're facilitating people to go out to nature, or are you having conversations with the people that you're working with on how they should be thinking about nature as a resource for their community, for their mental health? Oh, great. I always like to add in the never, and I think I will never, and I don't think I will, just to get a sense if you haven't before and this doesn't really appeal to you. That's also very helpful information for us. So don't feel like you have to say that you will in the future. That's great. And no shame. And if you haven't in the past, and yeah, that's part of the reason that we're here, is that we understand there's a lot of resources out there and there's a lot that you guys are thinking about and working with in your work. And so is this a chance for us to remind you that we're a resource in Cook County and that we're here to partner with you. Excellent. Okay. All right, this is great feedback. Thank you. So for those of you who maybe don't say always, or you haven't in the past, I mean, feel free to come off mute also. This can be more of a conversation than just the mentee, but I think this is really where getting some feedback would be helpful right now, is sort of what are the barriers that you've had to either prescribing nature in the past, but also into having used the forest preserves as a resource in your work. We'd love to hear from you if you haven't, especially if you haven't done it before and you thought you may in the future. Transportation and accessibility. Great. Like I said, feel free to come off mute. If anybody wants to raise their hands or just put in the chat so that you can share more. Because that's a big reason why we're here is we have this resource. We want to connect with you. But we want to understand why, if you haven't, especially if you haven't in the past or you aren't using as much as you'd like to, that would be really helpful. And it seems like, Jackie, the transportation is a big one.
I think, hi, this is Lisa. I work with Northwestern Medicine, and is thinking about our hospital in the city and the communities we work in. I feel like it is transportation and accessibility, and this is the distance. And I never think about telling people to go outside, because and then, for the populations we work with, sometimes outside may not be as peaceful as the forest preserves, like that's most accessible. And I was just thinking in my head, like, what does outside look like, in your neighborhood, and focusing the things that are positive about it, and looking at the trees. So this reframing, if you can't get out to the forest preserves, how do you make your neighborhood work for you and still have that opportunity to connect to the outside environment?
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks for that. That's so true. And we get that, right? And I think one thing we have another program we call conservation at home, that we try to get people to think about, connecting to their own nature. And we get it. We understand. We would like people to get to maybe the forest preserve every now and then, but we love that. We want people to prioritize, think about their own nature and what does that mean. Even like a house plant sometimes is just a good, because having house plants actually filters air, right, and is good for people. So that idea that even if you don't have space, you could have nature next in your life.
Mhm. And just to reiterate Jackie's plug for the Nature Bus Express, because I know that is something that comes up all the time, is how do we benefit all of Cook, well, first of all, how are we a benefit to all of Cook County? Well, and then second of that, even if you can't get to us, but also how can we help you get to us? And so just to reinforce Jackie's Nature Bus Express, Nature Express Bus.
Oh, here I put in the chat the link to that application or that process. And also we have and I'll do the volunteer Voyager one too.
But anybody else want to say, are there other barriers? Yeah, just to say again, Lisa, the point about getting outside is not always the most peaceful or safe place to be. And Jackie's point too about how we can join your groups to think about what nature looks like for your community and your organization.
I'm curious, do you guys do partnerships with the city parks of Chicago? Or is that like a separate, I mean, I know it's
Separate
separate.
entity. We're not the park system, so we don't run that, but we do have partnerships with them. They actually we go to some of their events, they come to some of our events, and we one thing we do with them is they do a camping program in the summer with their young people, and they come out to the forest preserve for an urban camping program.
Thank you.
I had a random thing that I wanted to add or just kind of put out there. Maybe like at one of those events where you're partnering with the Chicago Park System, just coming up with a brochure, allowing people that are at the parks to figure out how maybe perhaps like with pace buses or things like that, they could get from the city to the park, like to the forest preserves. Because like a lot of people do want to use free transit, and also some people may commute both ways. So they may have some familiarity with using pace buses. That's just like a random idea, but yeah, I think that like making sure that transportation is a possibility is definitely part of it. Just yeah, me being able to drive to hike is really good for me, but not everybody can drive to hike, so.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we have that information about good places where you can get to the forest preserve on public. So we can put that stuff out there. I'm just gonna put the True Nature video link in there too, and this is for the 20-minute version. If anybody, which has, so just so if you are interested in that. Great.
Anybody else on this barriers part?
I think awareness is a big part of this because I only recently found out about like the Dan Ryan Woods is right in the South Side, and I have someone I spend time with that lives on 87th, and I didn't know it was right down the street. So I think also um, maybe targeting certain awareness of certain like neighborhood or more local, because when I think Cook County Forest Preserves, my assumption is, oh, it's just in the suburbs, but there is overlap within the city or very near the city. So definitely some more awareness of what actually is there and where things are could be beneficial.
Thanks.
That's great. And that actually brings us straight to our next mentee. So here's your chance to tell us how you want that more information and more awareness. One of the challenges that we had, because Cook County is so big, and there's so many different ways to get information. And then also as part of that, some of us are overwhelmed with information. And so please let us know, like, that's one of the reasons that we're here. And we're doing a lot of outreach. Jackie is constantly doing outreach, for example. But also we want to make sure that we're keeping you regularly updated because we can't come, also you don't want us to come every week, every month and do the same presentation every time. So if there's ways that we can better reach out to you and better be in touch, that would be really helpful for us to have this feedback now. I mean, one of the other things that we have talked about is which are the prime networks to, especially when we're talking about mental health and being a resource for the mental health community. What are the key networks to kind of be in touch with, and maybe that's another way to disseminate information instead of trying to reach every provider or every organization directly. So if you have any feedback on that, I mean, these already bringing up the awareness is really great. So if anybody wants to come off mute, and again, please share us in the Menti, but if you want to come off mute and kind of talk to us about what are the best ways to reach out to you and to create awareness, that would be really helpful.
So just so you know, I already do a seasonal email to that I can add if I mean I guess I could just send it to you, Sam, and if people would that be appropriate, and then you could forward it on.
Yeah, if you send me the email or even a sign up link for the
Okay.
seasonal email, I can make sure to share it with this group, and then folks can have that at their fingertips as well.
Great. And then the seasonal guides are like the hard copies. So we could, if people are interested in that, we could do a little survey of people and then get information about where to send them to and stuff like that. And they could potentially be drop shipped. And you could say like if you could handle 50 at a season or something like that. That'd be great. So we can maybe add that into your notes. Could we create a little?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We'll connect after the meeting about getting all these links and materials and questions to include with our follow-up email to this meeting, and also just some other partners we have to make sure that we're helping spread that awareness and get you the information.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was the last question I had.
Any other questions for us? We again appreciate that you let us take this time for your meeting, and would be happy to again, that can be another question. We'd be happy to meet with you and your team about, or with you specifically about maybe your ideas and how people are what you might be interested in for your organization. So I'm happy to have those conversations.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the presentation and the discussion. I know I learned about a bunch of resources that I didn't know about, and I consider myself fairly well plugged in, so I'm sure everyone got something great out of it. And we will be, getting the slides and the links and all of that information to share with everyone on our mental health work group list. So if you missed some info on a slide or something, that will be coming to you. So do not worry. So as I pull my presentation back up, a big thank you to our presenters for being here. And yeah, we really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, so moving on to our next item. We had our Systems in Sync kickoff in-person event on September 18th. And I know several of you in this meeting were there, so I'm really happy. We had a really great attendance. So we're going to first review a little bit of information we got from the meeting and then look into where we go from here, because we don't want these connections and partnerships that were built at this meeting to just be left hanging. We want to really continue our support for those growing relationships. So first off, we had some amazing photos and videos from the event, and those are posted on the Alliance for Health Equity website, which we'll share that link in the chat as well. A thank you to our wonderful photographer, Timmy Samuel, who captured some great images. So if you have interest in any of those, maybe you weren't able to make the event and want to see the presentations or panel, those are all recorded as well. Now to a little bit about the attendance of the event. We had about 100 people in person. That includes 10 tabling organizations, including the Forest Preserves, 9 program presentations, 5 community experts, 4 panelists, and 50 plus organizations were represented. And you can see on the right there that of those 50 plus organizations, the largest sectors that were represented were healthcare and community organizations, followed by government, non-health department government, and health department government. And then school districts and other were those last couple sections. We had 4 great panelists who discussed collaboration and partnership in the current political environment, as well as there's some of all of our presenting orgs listed there. Again, you can see the video on our website. And this, I'm not going to go through every detail. You will get these slides. So if you want to look over some of these quotes, because they are some really great ideas and advice here. But in our analysis of the presentations, the panelists, the discussions, as well as the feedback we got on the event, we had these 4 kind of core themes that came up, and they were community expertise, the political climate, human-centered initiatives and conversations, and peer support. And so this diagram is just kind of showing how we got to those conclusions, some concrete examples there. Then we also asked attendees to complete a feedback survey after the event. We got, as of time of making these slides, we had a total of 20 surveys completed. And we asked how well did the event align with its goals, which I'll go over the goals in just a minute. And on a scale of 1 as no alignment, 5 being excellent alignment, we averaged a 4.6, which is great, which means we did a good job, but there's a little room for improvement. Which parts of the event did you find most valuable? We asked participants to select 2, and the majority chose connecting in person and program presentations, followed by the panel, feedback from community experts, and collaboration sessions. We also asked if Systems in Sync was made an annual event, would you be interested in attending in 2026? And we had 80% say yes, 20 not sure, and 0% said no. So that lets us know that people got things out of the event enough to at least consider repeating it annually. And we also asked, was there anything you felt was missing from the event? We heard more feedback and connection with the experience of the community, more time for Q&A with presenters and government officials, more structure or guidance to the collaboration sessions, less rush presentations, having some more breaks, providing a list of attendees with contact info to connect after the event, presentations on current collaborations and partnerships, and then some professional development sessions. So before we go on to where we go from here, I want to open up for anyone who attended the event. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share either on one of these questions we've looked at or just in general, how your experience was, now is a time to speak up and share that with us. And if you don't want to share in the group, we're always happy to get emails from you. You all have my email. Okay. So the real core of our discussion here today, other than our fantastic presentation, is what does ongoing support look like? Now that we've established some of these connections and partnerships, how do we keep supporting them and building more and building trust? And what does that look like? So in the feedback survey, we asked where we should go from here and gave these 6 choices as well as an other box, and that's that suggested. So the top choices were occasional learning sessions about policy and funding, followed by a directory or listserv of behavioral health organizations and institutions, regular meetings with updates on behavioral health programs, a newsletter with updates on behavioral programs, policy, funding, etc., occasional learning sessions around collaboration and partnership, and joining this work group that we're in. Then it was also suggested by a survey taker to have subcommittees within the mental health work group that support building out learning sessions, after work hour mixers for further networking, calendar of events so that we can go and attend to support one another's work. So then as the IPHI team reviewed the feedback that we got, as well as feedback we got at our follow-up webinar last week, we made sure to keep in mind these guides here, being the Systems in Sync goals, which you can see on the left there, and then the priorities of this work group and some of those cross-cutting strategies that we reviewed at the beginning of the meeting. Because Systems in Sync is a subsection, an initiative of this work group. So this is the plan we came up with. Having quarterly meetings, which would entail learning sessions on partnership building, program spotlights, in-depth updates on policy, and would replace the mental health work group meeting for that month. So for example, if we had one of our quarterly meetings in September, then we would not have the mental health work group meeting for September. We would just do August and skip to October, with this replacing the September meeting, because we don't want to overwhelm everyone with meetings. I know everyone's calendars are full enough. And the other component would be a monthly newsletter It would have sections including partnerships wanted, so opportunities for collaboration. For example, I saw Elvis posted in the chat a little bit ago that they're looking for partnerships around some of their CH&A implementation planning, improvement planning. And so something like that could go in that section of the newsletter. Then policy updates, program updates, an event calendar, including learning opportunities, gatherings, things like that, and resources for organizations and communities, including if there's funding opportunities, something like the sharing about the park district programs could go in that category. So really trying to have a rounded view. And the feedback we got also was that the focus of both the meetings and the newsletter should be broadly behavioral health focused, so not strictly behavioral health, but also things that contribute to behavioral health, like the park districts, like food or housing resources, or the forest preserves, or those sort of things that on a broader scale contribute to good mental wellness. So given that structure and keeping our goals and priorities in mind, first of all, do you have any thoughts or feedback, something you particularly want to see in either the meetings or the newsletter, something you think we've missed that's really important, or general, you think this is a great idea, let's do it? We want to hear your feedback. And then in addition, we're asking if your organization would be able to help plan and facilitate meetings or contribute to the newsletter. You can scan that QR code, or we'll put a link in the chat for a sign-up survey. But we also want to see what is it that you think about this, because this is the core group that this comes out of. So we want to make sure that this group is on board with our plan going forward. So even if you think this is amazing, you love it, let us know. Give us a thumbs up. Say it's great. Tell us what you like about it, what you're excited about, or if you think there's something missing, let us know too. No, I don't believe, I see the people in this room. I know you all have opinions. So if you're on board, hitting that thumbs up is great. We just want to have some confirmation. Great, I see a thumbs up. Multiple thumbs up, so it looks like generally we're on board. Great. And as this develops, we're looking to kind of launch these at the beginning of next year. So that gives us the next couple months to really plan and work out the details and make sure that this is a quality endeavor. And so again, if you're interested in helping to plan, facilitate, contribute, even co-lead, please fill out that survey. If you already gave us your information at the follow-up webinar, you don't need to do it again, because I know some of you were at both. But if you have not already and would like to contribute anything like that, please do sign up. Okay, so to wrap up a couple minutes early, we've got our next steps. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, November 11th at our usual time. Please do fill out the form if you want to support, and we will reach out individually to anyone who signs up and discuss more coordination over the next few months. And we will be sending out our usual follow-up email for this meeting with the recording, our slides, the Forest Preserve slides, and all of the links and stuff that were shared. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I think we had a great discussion and information from the Forest Preserve, so I thank them again for presenting, and have a great day.